Have you ever noticed this strange contradiction? Why some men can say almost nothing, do almost nothing, and yet women feel deeply drawn to them, while other men try harder, talk more, impress more, explain more, and somehow lose attraction instead? Today I want to reveal one manly gesture that silently melts female resistance, builds emotional safety, and creates psychological attraction without flirting tricks, without manipulation, and without chasing. And before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and watch this video until the end, because this single shift can completely change how women experience you. The manly gesture almost nobody uses. The gesture is not physical. It is not touching. It is not a move. It is not a trick. It is something far deeper. The gesture is this. You pause your emotional impulse and stay internally still. In other words, when most men rush to respond, you remain centered. When most men rush to impress, you remain grounded. When most men rush to fix emotions, you stay present. This is the manly gesture almost nobody uses. Emotional stillness under emotional stimulation. Women do not respond to how fast you move. They respond to how stable you remain. Let me explain something most dating advice completely ignores. A woman is constantly scanning for one signal. Can this man emotionally hold reality without collapsing into it? Not dominance, not money, not lines, not style, but nervous system leadership. And the fastest way to communicate that is through one silent behavior. You do not react emotionally the moment emotional energy enters the interaction. What if I told you the most powerful move you can make around a woman is doing less, not performing, not impressing, not trying to win the moment, but staying still? Most men misunderstand female psychology because they look at attraction like a skill set to display. They think it's about saying the perfect line, cracking the right joke, showing dominance, flexing confidence like it's a muscle. But a woman's attraction system is deeply connected to emotional regulation, not performance, not humor, not even confidence the way men imagine it. She isn't just observing what you say, she's measuring your nervous system. When she expresses emotion, excitement, frustration, curiosity, distance, her mind quietly asks, can this man stay himself when I shift? Can he remain grounded when I become warm? Can he remain steady when I become distant? Can he remain calm when tension appears? Because emotions change, energy fluctuates, attraction breathes, and most men fail right there. When she pulls back slightly, he leans in harder. When she delays a reply, he double texts. When she gets emotional, he rushes to fix it. When she gets quiet, he panics internally. The reaction is instant, and that instant reaction communicates something dangerous. I need this moment to go well for me to feel okay. That is emotional dependency, leaking through behavior. You may think you're just being attentive, but psychologically you are signaling instability. Now contrast that with the man who pauses. She gets distant, he doesn't chase. She becomes warm, he doesn't overinvest. She tests emotionally, he doesn't defend himself. There is a subtle breath before he responds. He remains centered. That pause communicates something powerful. I am already okay, and that changes everything. Because attraction at its core is about emotional safety mixed with tension. If you collapse under uncertainty, she feels it. If your mood depends on her reactions, she senses it. If you need reassurance to stay confident, it registers subconsciously. But when you stay internally still, you create polarity. She feels your stability. Most men believe attraction is created by what they add. More charm, more talking, more effort, more availability, more reassurance. In reality, attraction is created by what you do not leak. You do not leak urgency. You do not leak emotional hunger. You do not leak insecurity. You do not leak expectation. You do not leak outcome dependency. You do not rush to fill silence. You do not chase emotional spikes. You do not over-explain your intentions. You stay internally composed. Think about it like this. If your internal state shifts every time her energy shifts, you are reacting. But if your internal state remains steady while her energy shifts, you are leading. And leadership in emotional dynamics is magnetic. This doesn't mean you become cold. It doesn't mean you suppress emotion. It means you are not controlled by the moment. You can feel attraction without becoming needy. You can enjoy connection without fearing loss. You can care without clinging. That grounded presence communicates, I want you, but I do not require you to regulate me. That is rare, and rarity creates value. When you instantly react, you unconsciously hand over your emotional authority. When you pause and stay centered, you keep it. The gesture is small. A breath, a delayed reaction, a relaxed posture, a steady tone. But psychologically, it signals strength. Not loud strength, quiet strength. The kind that makes her nervous system soften. Because when she senses that you are stable regardless of the outcome, she can relax into her feminine, emotional range without feeling like she has to manage you. And that is when attraction deepens. Not because you performed, but because you didn't leak. You stayed internally still. And in a world of men who react instantly, the man who can remain centered becomes unforgettable. The invisible power of emotional containment. Here is the uncomfortable truth. A woman can feel emotional instability, even when your words are perfect. Your body communicates before your mouth does. Your breathing, your micro movements, your tone, your pacing, your eyes, your emotional center. When you become excited too fast, she feels it. When you become nervous too fast, she feels it. Not because she is judging you, but because her nervous system is responding to yours. This is why the manly gesture is not a move. It is a state. It is the state of emotional containment. The quiet psychological effect you create. When you remain still inside, something fascinating happens inside her. Her mind does not receive emotional closure. Her nervous system does not settle into predictability. Her attention does not drift. Instead, her curiosity increases. Her awareness sharpens. Her emotional sensitivity opens. Her imagination activates. Not because you are mysterious, but because you are not emotionally readable in a needy way. This is not emotional coldness. This is emotional structure. Big difference. The Stoic foundation behind this gesture. Long before modern psychology, one man wrote something that directly explains this principle. Marcus Aurelius taught that the strongest man is not the one who controls others, but the one who controls his own inner reactions. In his personal writings, later published as Meditations, the central theme is simple. You do not control what appears. You control how you respond. This is exactly what creates emotional authority. And centuries earlier, another mind saw the same reality from a different angle. Niccolo Machiavelli understood that power is never loud. It is always structured. It is always composed. It is always measured. Different worlds, same psychological truth. How the gesture looks in real life without acting. Let me make this very practical. You are talking to a woman. She smiles warmly. Most men instantly soften their posture, lean forward, speak faster, and emotionally lean in. Instead, you let the smile land. You breathe. You keep your posture relaxed. You maintain your natural pacing. You allow silence to exist for half a second longer. That pause is the gesture. She teases you. Most men rush to defend themselves. You let the tease exist. You observe it. You answer calmly. That is the gesture. She becomes quiet. Most men panic and try to fill the space. You allow the quiet. That is the gesture. You are not freezing. You are stabilizing the emotional field. Why women melt into this without understanding why. Here is what her nervous system feels. I don't have to carry emotional leadership here. I don't have to regulate him. I don't have to protect his feelings. I don't have to manage the moment. That creates relaxation. Relaxation creates openness. Openness creates attraction. This is especially powerful with emotionally mature women, because mature women are tired of men who emotionally lean on them. They want a man who can emotionally stand on his own. The most common mistake that destroys this gesture. Men confuse emotional stillness with emotional distance. They shut down. They become monotone. They become withdrawn. That is not grounded. That is guarded. Stillness is warm. Stillness is present. Stillness is connected. Stillness is emotionally open as without emotional dependency. You can be expressive without being reactive. You can be engaged without being emotionally driven. You can be interested without being internally unstable. The hidden trigger. This gesture activates. Here is the psychological trigger most men never realize they activate. When you stay emotionally centered, a woman subconsciously begins to test emotional boundaries, not because she is manipulative, but because her nervous system wants to confirm safety. She might change topics suddenly, pull back slightly, challenge you playfully, Show mild disinterest for a moment. If you remain centered, her trust increases. If you emotionally shift, her attraction weakens. This is not a game. This is biology. Why this gesture is stronger than compliments. Compliments create emotional peaks. Peaks fade. Stillness creates emotional grounding. Grounding lasts. A woman can forget what you said. She does not forget how her nervous system felt around you. The deep masculine signal you send. Without saying a word, you communicate. I am not overwhelmed by emotional energy. I do not need emotional validation. I am comfortable inside myself. I am not chasing emotional outcomes. This is masculine polarity. Not dominance. Not control. Stability. The inner training that builds this gesture. Here is the truth, Sanu. You cannot fake emotional stillness. You can only train it. And the training is extremely simple, but uncomfortable. You start by delaying your emotional response by one breath. Every time someone says something, you breathe. Someone reacts, you breathe. Someone becomes warm, you breathe. Someone becomes distant, you breathe. That breath is your nervous system recentering. That breath is the gesture forming. Why most men cannot hold this? Because most men use women to regulate their emotional state. They use attention to feel valuable. They use validation to feel secure. They use connection to avoid inner emptiness. So when emotional energy enters, they collapse into it. They attach to it. They chase it. They ride it. Instead of containing it. This is not a character flaw. It is conditioning. But it can be unlearned. The psychological line you must never cross. The moment your emotional stability depends on her reactions, the gesture disappears. The moment you need the conversation to go well, the gesture disappears. The moment you need her to like you, the gesture disappears. Your emotional center must exist before the interaction begins, not be created by the interaction. The moment when this gesture becomes magnetic. There is one very specific moment when this becomes incredibly powerful. When attraction begins to grow. Most men fail exactly here. Their energy shifts. Their availability expands suddenly. Their boundaries soften. Their tone becomes eager. Their focus narrows. Women feel this shift instantly. When you remain emotionally centered even as connection deepens, you communicate internal leadership. Your life does not reorganize around romantic possibility. Romance integrates into your life. It does not replace it. Why this feels rare to women? Because most men are emotionally reactive. They are good men, kind men, hardworking men, but emotionally unstable men, not dangerous, just internally unregulated. So when a woman encounters a man who can remain emotionally still, it feels rare, it feels safe, it feels solid, it feels grounding, it feels quietly powerful. This is not about being hard. This is about being anchored. There is softness in emotional stillness. There is warmth in emotional stillness. There is empathy in emotional stillness, but there is no emotional collapse. The subtle difference between confidence and centering. Confidence is belief in yourself. Centering is regulation of yourself. Confidence can disappear under emotional pressure. Centering holds under emotional pressure. Women are attracted to what holds. The final quiet challenge. The next time you speak to a woman, do not try to create excitement. Create calm clarity, because excitement is easy. Any man can spike energy for a moment, but calm clarity? That's rare. Most men walk into interactions trying to generate a reaction. They want the spark, the laugh, the validation, the proof that it's working. But the man who understands psychology walks in differently. He is not there to create fireworks. He is there to create steadiness. Do not try to perform. Be emotionally grounded. When she speaks, don't scan her face for approval. When she pauses, don't rush to fill the silence. When she smiles, don't over-celebrate internally. When she challenges you, don't defend your ego. Stay centered. Because the moment you start performing, you communicate that you need the outcome. And neediness, and even subtle, invisible neediness, and dissolves attraction. Do not try to impress. Remain internally organized. That means your thoughts are not racing. Your emotions are not spiking. Your body is not tense. Your tone is not searching. You are present. Not hyper-alert. Not trying to win her. Not calculating the next move. Just present. There is something deeply powerful about a man whose nervous system is not hijacked by a Woman's presence. She may not consciously say it, but she feels it. She feels the difference between a man trying to get her and a man simply sharing space with her. One is chasing validation, the other is anchored in himself. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. A woman is not attracted to what you do. She is attracted to how you emotionally exist. She is not measuring your lines. She is measuring your stability. She is not analyzing your jokes. She is sensing your center. She is not falling for your effort. She is responding to your internal structure. Your internal structure becomes her external comfort. When your emotions are steady, she relaxes. When your reactions are measured, she softens. When your presence is calm, her guard lowers. Your emotional center becomes her emotional invitation. Because when you are grounded, she feels safe expressing her full range. Warmth, playfulness, curiosity, even distance, without worrying that you will collapse or cling. And that creates polarity, not loud dominance, not forced mystery, but quiet strength. Your psychological stability becomes her attraction, not because you tried to attract her, but because you didn't try to control the moment. You simply remained whole inside it. And that is the manly gesture almost nobody uses. The pause, the composure, the internal stillness. It doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't go viral. It doesn't feel flashy, but it changes everything. Because in a world of men trying to impress, the man who is emotionally organized stands apart without saying a word. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.